Welcome, true crime lovers, to our caves here on the seafront in Hastings, East Sussex, the home of the famous True Crime Museum. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, then sit back and relax as I tell you the brutally astonishing life story of the cocaine king Heriberto Lazcano. Let's start with some background. The year is 2001 and renowned intellectual and US President George W. Bush is preparing a speech condemning the mass importation of cocaine from Mexico to the USA. He's putting economic pressure on the Mexican government to say, this is your problem, stop the coke coming into the USA or else. His speech is all about protecting American financial interests. Like it or not, many American adults enjoy using recreational drugs, be it tobacco, alcohol, marijuana, cocaine. Some of those are legal, some of them illegal. The legal options, such as alcohol and tobacco, which is grown in the USA, are taxed, and that money goes to benefit the American government. The illegal options, for instance, in this case, the coca leaf, is an agricultural asset of Mexico, and that money goes straight into the pockets of Mexicans. So under intense pressure from the US government, led by George W. Bush, the Mexican government sent in their elite special forces, their top soldiers, to take out the drug cartels. At that time, in 2001, the top cartel was the Gulf Cartel. They had hundreds of boats, planes, couriers, all working to get their products to the customers in the USA. The Mexican authorities sent in their crack troops, codename Los Zetas or the Zeds. These are their equivalent of our SAS, the Andy McNabs, the Chris Ryans, special forces, trained in all elements of warfare, and they they burned the crops, the Gulf Cartel's drug processing plants. They killed soldiers and enforcers and really did some damage to the Gulf Cartel. The legendary slogan of the drug cartels is silver or lead, meaning if you cross us, we'll either try and buy you off with silver or you'll die in a hail of lead. So the Gulf Cartel sent a negotiator and a conciliator to meet with the 30 crack troops of Los Zetas, and they made them an offer. They said, we will add a zero to all your salaries if you come and be our enforcers and our protectors and work for us. This was a very attractive proposition, especially for one Los Zetas soldier, Heriberto Lazcano. He was born to a poor family, but from a very early age he had a fierce ambition to better his lot. He joined the army aged 17 and quickly rose through the ranks to become a special forces soldier. But his ambitions didn't stop there. He rose to become the top commander of Los Zetas, and in 2008 he looked around and thought to himself, well, why are we playing second fiddle to the Gulf Cartel and doing their bidding when we could be running the show? So he formed an alliance with two smaller cartels, and in 2010 they went all-out turf war against the Gulf Cartel. It was a war in which thousands upon thousands of Mexican civilians died. They would arrive en masse in a town. They would find out who controlled the drugs trade, the human trafficking trade, and kidnapping, the crime lords. They would kill them and take over their operations, and they quickly went from being a unit of 30 elite soldiers to being an army of over 10,000 gunmen. Lazcano himself earned the nickname El Verdugo, or the Executioner. He bought a fortified mansion which had its own harem and its own zoo, including caged lions and tigers. He liked to tie his enemies to trees and beat them to death. He would starve them, boil them alive, throw them to his lions and his tigers, but his favourite method of execution was to decapitate his enemies with his favourite gold-plated chainsaw. Lazcano lived a very violent life and he died a violent death. In October 2012 he was watching a baseball game surrounded by a gang of his gunmen, and a security guard at the stadium phoned the authorities and told them where he was. Lazcano tried to flee in his armoured jeep, but he was run off the road and stopped by a furious flurry of machine gun fire, and El Verdugo met his end. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel and come along and see us here at the True Crime Museum, where we have a fantastic recreation of the death of the cocaine king, including that famous gold-plated chainsaw.